Hi guys, Jason here. Welcome to the channel. Today we are having another look at my 1969 50W Plexi, right? It's a 1987T, the tremolo model, and I've had a series of clips that I've posted to the channel where I'll be going through a restoration of this thing. Today we are testing out these, right? A lot has been spoken about tubes and tube supply in the last couple of weeks in the guitar world. And what I have here, this is one of them anyway, right, is a set of, if I can line this up on the camera, USA made 6CA7's, right? These are the original Sylvania tubes, right? Big fat bottle, as used by our dear guitar hero, Edward Van Halen, in his famous 68 100W Plexi, right? And I mentioned on a previous clip in the restoration of my amp that there was a very kind gentleman in Sydney here in Australia who sent me some new old stock parts to help with the restoration of this 50W amp. And included in that care package was a pair of these, right? So today I finally got around to putting them in the amp, and I'm going to do the usual A/B tone test that I do on this channel, right? If you watch it, you would have seen me do this before. I play, some stuff, right, into my Axe effects, into the looper on the Axe effects, so it's captured. I then record the loop in the amp prior to the change. I play the loop back after the change, and then we can A/B, right, objectively test the tones before and after. So this is what I've done. We're going to start with the EL34s that were in the amp when I got it. They're just run-of-the-mill Mullard reissue tubes, right? Nothing special. So they've been in there. We get to hear those. I'll take this to the bench and we'll do the tube change. I'll do a bias, basically changeover, right? So just kind of go through that basic procedure, but I ran the video for that so you can see kind of how I went through it, because I wanted to bring these really old tubes up nice and gently, right, with the Variac, which is what we did. Come back in here into the studio. I've played the loop back again. Let's A/B it. Let me know what you think. So here we are, right? I've been wanting to do this for quite some time, right? So these are the Mullard reissue EL34s, which we have just heard. And I'll take these out, and what I want to show you is what I've been sent to try in this amp, right? So let's see if we can get those on the video. Is it coming through? Let's hope so. USA made 6CA7's, right? I have a pair of these. Nice big fat bottle, right? Someone in the clip will no doubt recognize the markings on these things. I'm no expert on this stuff, right? But I do know that, of course, the USA made Sylvania 6CA7's were what a certain Mr. Eddie Van Halen made famous, right? So I'm unsure of the condition of these. So we're going to put them in, all right? And we'll keep the video running when I turn this guy on, and we'll get the bias probe connected and see if we can get these things tuned in. Right, so I've just moved the camera here so you can see, you'll be able to see these, hopefully, with the lighting, these guys come to life, right? I have never powered these on. I'll obviously bias this next, right? So I just want to get this powered up. I'm going to check the bias current here on my probe. That's connected. Let me move this around. You should see just right. I've just got that bias probe right. Fantastic thing to get if you don't have one. The simplest and easiest way to measure your bias without investing in a aftermarket purpose-built bias probe, right? Just use your meter. I'm using an old meter that I've had for years. I just use it for that single purpose now. I'm actually going to bring the amp up using the variac, right? So I'm just going to bring these old tubes up very gently, and while we're doing that, the amp's going to be out of standby. We'll put this light on, and ideally you'll be able to see. Let me position that there. There we go. You'll be able to see it come through on the video. Right, so the variac is going on. It's on 0 volts. Just bringing it up gently. Right, 30 volts, 40, 60, 80. The pilot light on the front of the amp is now glowing. 100 volts. Now I can see glow on the base of the tube. Now we're at 180 here, so obviously can't see it here, right? Let me bring this down. There we go. And look at the bias current. Right. I'll return this over here. Get this on an angle where you can see it. 16, 17. Right, so 17, let's call it 16 milliamps. I will fine tune this, right, as I said, but the tube is working. Okay, that's at 180. Plate voltage on the sensor is about 460 from memory. Let's bring it up, we're at 200 now. We've got, bring it up, 220, we're at 220 here. This is kind of what you actually want, right? You want a current draw here in the low 30s is what you'd be asking for. And I'm now right up at bang on 240 now. A little bit under 30 there, right? So might need a small bias adjustment, and tube is looking pretty healthy. One right here. Right, let's see if we can get a sighting on the other one. Also looking okay, that's for the one obviously with the bias probe on it. I think I'll flip the amp over now. Check the bias on the other tube. See how perfectly matched they are. Okay, so the amp's flipped over, as you can see, right? I've got the bias probe probably just out of shot here on the video, but it's just sitting on the bench here, and it's on the other power tube, right? So when we had the amp sitting upright, it was on this one, and we had 31 milliamps, right? So we're now on this one. So I'm going to bring the power on here, 240. Everything's set exactly as it was when we just did the first measurement. Okay, so here we go. The bias probe is starting to move. The current starting to move. 16, 21. Just bring us up here a bit. You might be able to see it. 31, 32, 35. Okay, so still moving a little bit there, but we are still within 5 milliamps. Let's see it push to 36. There we go. So that's 5 milliamps there. So look, might move around a little bit. It's hovering around 36 there quite comfortably. So first tube is 31. 5 milliamps is close enough to a balanced set. Now let me check our plate voltage. Okay, so I'm going to go in here on, here's my meter. Put the light on here on pin 3. Okay, 453 I'll call it. So let's bias this guy in, right? So here's my adjustment here. Appreciate you can't see the bias probe, but I'm going to set it at probably about 35 milliamps, right, at that plate voltage. So just dialing this in here. 35. I'll bring this up here. You can see it. It's just on 36. All right, so I didn't have to adjust it actually much at all. It had actually moved a little bit higher after I last showed it, back to probably up to 38. So I just brought that back a little bit. And I'll let that sit there for a bit, just make sure it's kind of stable. Probably check the other tube one final time, and then we'll play the recorded loop back through the amp, see if we can hear any tonal differences. Now those with a keen eye might have noticed that I've got the 0.1 couplers back in here, right? So the very last video I did on my 69 Plexi here, the restoration, I tested 22 nanofarad or 0.022 microfarad couplers here against the 0.1s, right? Interesting comments back from that video, right? Very much 50-50. The general consensus being that if you're using the amp in a band context, then probably the 0.022s were better, shaved off a little bit of bass, a little bit tighter. But if you're using the amp, you know, outside of a band context, maybe just, you know, at home or what have you, the 0.1s delivered a fuller sound. I agree. I've gone back to the 0.1s here. You know, this amp's not a gigging amp, right? I'm not going to take this out and gig it with a band or anything like that. It's a keeper at home. I will treasure it. So we've got the 0.1s in here, and I think that's how it's going to stay. Well, there we have it, right? A, B, back to back. What do you reckon? What do you reckon of these old 6CA7, right? Are they magic? Are they worth the money? Well, I don't know, but I think they sound fantastic, right? So to me, listening back on the A-B, these have a lot more life and zing. There's something in the upper mid-range that's going on. It's kind of really lively and kind of got that nice sparkle, but it's not harsh at all. So like, yeah, fantastic. Couldn't be more happier with these old tubes, right? They'll now be a permanent addition to my old 50 watt here. And I think we've got some space for some more clips on this amp, right? I still want to get this thing on the Variac and dial it down. And now I've got these old, 6CA7's right down on the Variac. I reckon we'll be heading towards EVH territory. Let's see. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. I'll be interested Just see whether you think these old power tubes have made any difference at all, whether you think they sound better or worse, and post your comments below, right below the video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, then please do. Ring the bell, you'll be notified of new content, all the usual stuff, right? Stay well, and I'll see you next time.